So good afternoon, everybody. Our next speaker for the lightning talks is Francesco Melchiori, and he'll be talking about Alyvix. Please give him a big hand.
Hello, my name is Francesco Melchiori. I'm a product manager in Phoenix, which is an IT Italian company. Our goal is to monitor the end user experience of general network applications. You've got the general idea. So you've got the general network applications in cloud, and at the other end, the end user. In the middle, we've got the complexity of the network. So at the end of the day, the end user suffers because of the performances of those applications. Our goal is to assess the perceived quality of service. So here you've got three scenarios. The first one is when you have an open application with an open protocol, and it's quite easy to, let's say, to assess the quality of service. You have to call the open APIs to an open protocol like HTTP. But the other two cases are definitely hard to solve, because in the second case, we have to face a closed client with a closed protocol, so custom socket programming. And the last scenario, we've got a virtualized application in cloud, even more severe. So basically, you've got a video and audio stream directly on your web browser. So that's difficult. We're developing a solution in order to solve all of these three scenarios. I'm talking about Alyvix, but what is Alyvix? Alyvix is a visual synthetic monitoring system. What does it mean? Visual, because Alyvix looks at graphic user interfaces. It's synthetic because Alyvix behaves like a human user, using mouse and keyboards exactly as a human would do. And it's monitoring because Alyvix is able to track transaction performances. So first of all, Alyvix can automate any application. Why? It provides to you a graphical user interfaces tools in order to design those transactions. Well, it's made with Python, OpenCV, Fractal-CR, and Robot Framework. So basically, the idea is that you have a transaction, and you want to, let's say, to convert this transaction in one custom Alyvix keyword. So defining graphics on those transactions, planning interaction to it, and finally measuring the time the keyword takes to appear on the screen. We've got several tools. For example, the image finder. You can detect images, tiny images, really big images, doesn't matter. You have a rectangular finder. You can detect rectangulars on your graphical user interface, like buttons, edit boxes, windows, and so on and so forth. And finally, we've got text finders. So basically, Alyvix is able to scrape, in some sense, your graphical user interfaces and match the text with regular expressions. It works also with a giant chunk of text. Practically speaking, it's really easy to define transactions through Alyvix. It's a matter of selecting a finder type. It's a matter of pointing and clicking and dragging your main selection, your subcomponents, and so on and so forth. Typing the name of the keyword, the keyword, sorry, and then set up your recognition settings, and then set up the interaction modes in order to click on those graphical elements, pushing a text string, and so on. And finally, we can also set up performance thresholds. So, but it's not the end of the story. We've got these three basic finders, but we can put everything together in a sort of really complex and abstract object. So basically, we can put an image finder, a rectangular finder, and a text finder, everything together, and you can link them together with the so-called regular region of interests, and everything. The object finder itself can inherit the interaction of the basic elements. So finally, we've got a really complex object in order to solve complex transactions. So now the thing is that you don't have just one single transaction, but a list of transactions in order to solve your end-user interaction flow. So the idea is to convert every single transaction graphically. And what does it mean? It means list Alyvix keywords in order to have what? The so-called test cases. And that's exactly what you have to do in the Alyvix editor. So if you run that test case, you can automate exactly that user interaction flow. Second, Alyvix can measure application transaction. And here I've got to give you a grasp of the engine below, telling to you something about the engine. We've got a thread, one thread is dedicated to the frame grabber. So we are going to take frames from your screen at a certain pace. For example, here the frequency is 250 milliseconds, and in a point at a time, we've got our transaction. And there is another thread, the so-called object detector, that is going to take the first available frame from the frame grabber. And it has a lower frequency, for example, 1 second. And when it will detect the object on the screen, then a measurement system comes up and gives to you the final transaction performance. So that's going on and on for all your test case transactions after transaction after transaction. The final achievement is that we wanted to first of all assess the availability of that transaction. So we've got a transaction. The question is available or not? And then we've got to assess the responsiveness of that transaction. So how many seconds it takes to appear. Finally, Alyvix reports the test case transactions in several forms. First of all, to the command line, and then it provides to you also rich HTML interactive pages. And here you can find the screenshots of your transaction and the performance below. Finally, if a keyword breaks, you can find not a static screenshot, but an animation that gives to you the reason why the keyword was broken. Alyvix can report everything to a monitoring system. So basically, here you've got your Alyvix probe, and Alyvix test cases can be automatized with a remote client like NS Client++, and it reports to your monitoring system. And this is the final time series. So basically, it's really clear that our network application suffered of service downtimes and latency spikes. So Alyvix 2.3 is out right now. Just browse alyvix.com to download your package. Alyvix 2.4 is under development, and we are going to release it this month. So I wanted to show a short screencast of Alyvix. This is a running test case on a complex graphical user interface, and as you can see, Alyvix is able to recognize complex graphical objects and browse exactly as a human would do the user interface, filling a complex form, and so on and so forth. So, for example, here you can add a new address in this CMR. Filling this complex form, and so on and so forth. So my final messages are, first of all, Alyvix can really certificate the ongoing quality of your IT services. And then IT operations can really modulate the infrastructure resources. I mean the pool of hardware resources. And IT clients can really check their support level agreement with providers. This is my call for action. You can browse alyvix.com in order to have a getting started documentation. And of course, you can contribute to GitHub. If you pull request something, we will be really, really happy. So for us, Alyvix is eyes and hands like a human with a stopwatch. Thanks a lot for your attention.